But he turned out that
That's me.
Morning, everyone. We're running a little bit behind.
There we go.
We'll start as soon as we have our chairperson here. I believe she got caught in that rainstorm out there. Thank you.
Appeals. There we go. There we go. We got them. Welcome to the Board of Zoning Appeals for this Monday, August 7th, 2023. We'll start with Ms. Kukla reading the preamble.
My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning. This is August 7th, 2023. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We've provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We've also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Oh, excuse me. Would you like to call the roll, please?
Sure. Ms. Holzer? Present. Ms. Roca?
Present.
Ms. Wilson? Ms. Faith?
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum with 3 members. We should announce to everyone on the call, specifically the appellants, that with 3 members here today, you must receive a unanimous vote of all 3 members. If you do not receive that unanimous vote, your variance is denied as the building and housing decision will stand. So if you would like to request a postponement, please do so when we call your case to the table. Back to you, Madam Chair, or I can go ahead with the postponements if you'd like.
Just keep on rolling.
On the screen, you'll see that calendar number 23-126 Buckeye Road they have requested a postponement from this variance. This is regarding Buckeye Shaker Properties proposing to establish use as auto repair, sound installation, and welding in a C2 residence office district. The appellant stated that they had a scheduling conflict and needed to reschedule at this time.
Is that it?
I believe that is all that we have.
Okay,
Yes, thank you.
all right. Mr. Brulis, do we have any council people present? 29. As a courtesy to city council members, when they are present, we move their cases to the front of the agenda in the order in which they arrive. So we'll be starting today with calendar number 23-129, since Mr. Griffin is with us. Would you like to read it?
Please. Our first case is calendar number 23-129. This is at 2185 Cornell Road. 2183 Cornell Road LLC proposes to erect a 14-unit, 15,444 square foot apartment building in a C1 multifamily residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 5. There is also a note here that Landmarks Commission approval is required. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Roca for the oath.
Thank you.
Maurice, can you?
Trying.
Thank you. All right, I'm swearing in all who are on the call first. Swearing in all who are present for this case, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply with I do. State your name and your address.
I do. This is Dave Kaplan with Oliver Architecture. We're at 7100 Euclid Avenue, Suite 200 in Cleveland, Ohio.
I do. Blaine Griffin, Councilman, Ward 6.
I do. Carmen Imarino, one of the owners, 12026 Mayfield Road.
I do.
Jeff Shoykett, 12026 Mayfield Road, one of the owners.
I do. Nick Mellon, 7100 Euclid Avenue, Suite 200, Oliver Architecture.
Anybody else on the call? Anybody in person?
Brenda's looking at my staff.
Back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Carmen, can you just spell your last name for us, please?
Sure. It's IAMMARINO.
Thank you. And Jeff, is it, I'm sorry, I can't read the screen. S-H-Y?
Y K.
SHOYKHET.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a court reporter. She's not present in the room with us. But we always like you to be clear on your names, particularly those that are not, they're a little more unusual in spelling for the benefit of her being able to record things for us, okay?
Somebody requested a postponement on the job.
Pronounce that after.
Okay.
Different case though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think different
okay.
case.
All right. Okay. Who's going to be the spokesperson for this case?
Madam Chair, would you like the history of the property?
Yes, please. History of the property?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There has been one change in the in the zoning since 1929. It was originally semi-industry, and then in 1984, it was changed into the multifamily district. We found very little in our records administration office, only that in 1918, a permit was issued to raise the roof.
What year was that?
1918.
1918?
And in 1940, there was an addition for a bedroom and a basement. There's one variance on file, Madam Chair, in calendar number 90-100 on May 21st, 1990. The owner at that time requested to convert the property to food service operation on the first floor dwelling unit, and that variance was refused. And Madam
Was
Chair-
refused.
Right, that variance was denied.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, I don't see anything more of note in the recent history. Thank you.
Great. Okay, who do we have doing legal standard today?
Shackner here. Legal standard is, Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variance from the maximum floor area, side yard setback, air conditioner placement, and rear yard requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. And please note, the City Landmarks Commission must approve this prior to issuance of a building permit.
Great, thank you. Okay. Now, who's going to be the spokesperson for the case?
This is Dave Kaplan with Oliver Architecture. Can everybody hear me?
Dean, you're just a tad garbled, but I think we're good. What's the architectural firm?
Oliver Architecture.
Oliver, great, thank you.
Real quick, I did just want to make sure that Jeff and Carmen were okay with proceeding based on the three-person attendance today.
Okay, fair enough.
That's fine.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay, thanks so much, guys.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. As I mentioned, I'm Dave Kaplan with Oliver Architecture. Thanks very much for your time. As you can see here, we're proposing a three-story residential building on this property. To speak to the challenges and why we're requesting some of the variances today that we are, if I could trouble you, please, to go to the site plan. Okay, great, thank you. You can see that this is a very skinny and narrow lot. It has that L shape occurring in that rear portion there where we're showing the three parking stalls. So it's challenging for us to develop it and achieve the density that the owners would like to have on this property without these variances. What our office sought to do really was to make sure that we design this building to blend in best with the character of the neighborhood. The first thing that we did really was to, and this was something that was requested during some of the meetings that we had with the community groups, as well as the Little Italy folks, was to locate the drive aisle next to the adjacent apartment building that you see there in plan. So that our building's front facade, if you will, which faces Random Road and that adjacent lot, really serves as a nice front view and elevation for Random Road. The adjacent property really is very skinny. There's parking there now on, in the majority of the property that overlaps our building. And it likely will not be developed with an actual structure just because of the size and challenges they would have there. So that's why the building is situated where it is and so close, so that we can still achieve a driveway to get into our parking, which is underneath the building, and allow for services such as trash, which there's trash located in the rear, which we can speak to if need be. If I could trouble you, please, to go to the elevations of the building. Thank you. Again, just, knowing that we're building a building that's larger on this lot than permissible, our intent was still to achieve a look that would still be harmonious with the neighborhood and not look out of place. So we have the pitched roof that's often found in all the homes in this area, of course. We have that front porch aesthetic that's facing Cornell Road, which you see on many Little Italy homes. Again, just trying to keep in the neighborhood, understanding that we are building a building that's larger than permissible. The other thing too is just wanting to do development on this property that's consistent with other recent developments in the area, namely the building immediately next door to us. If I could trouble you, please, to go to the next sheet. Keep going. There's the Baricelli Inn next door. There's a comparison of our building with theirs. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. So there, of course, is also as well a multi-unit apartment building. Our building is slightly shorter than theirs, but there, you know, that development, of course, maxed out their property. And we sought to do just a similar nature development with ours. Nice shot there, just showing again what's going to face Cornell Road and how again that meets the aesthetic that you see in other homes that face the roads in Little Italy. The last point I would make, just to speak to the condensing unit issue, is that on the site plan where the condensing units are located, which is the sort of the back left corner of the property, the adjacent building next to us is like a solid concrete block structure with, I think, maybe 1 or 2 windows higher up, but there's very few openings there. And it just felt to us that it was best to locate those there, push them in the back so they're not as visible from any of the roads, and also doesn't interrupt our parking or you know, the ability for fire department to come through if they need to, or any other city services that have to use our access road to get to the rear of the property. So it really turned out to be the best space to locate those. Couldn't locate them on the roof. Again, we're doing a pitched roof here, so they needed to be at the ground level. The last point I'd make for you is that we have already gone through the design review process. We did meet with the community members twice on this project, very successfully. With Italy as well has approved this, and we did have Landmarks approval as well.
You said they have landmarks.
Yeah, is that correct?
Yeah.
Mr. Brunches is shaking his head yes, that you've gotten the landmarks approval, so
Thank you.
that's good. And how many community meetings did you have?
There were 2.
2? And did you mention the CDC?
Is that the Little Italy? Forgive me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay. All right. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I don't know if you noticed, there was a chat from Mr. or Councilman Griffin stating that he's gonna have to get off of the call.
He has to get off. So Councilman Griffin, did you want to make a statement before you have to leave?
Yes, I apologize. I do have another commitment, but I'm fully supportive of this project. They have done a great job of really engaging the community. Got a lot of feedback from the community. As you all know, Little Italy is not the easiest place to build in. It's a very cramped area. And, you know, the residents over there are very, very intentional about what they engage in the type of development. And this is probably one of the least amount of concerns that I receive regarding the development. And part of that, I believe, is because of their real solid community engagement. So I really support this and hope this is a model for how we use this tool for development in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Good to see you. Have a good day. All right, gentlemen from the project team, anyone else have a statement to make?
No, I think Councilman Griffin really, hit the nail on the head for us. Is when we originally started with the design, it was a lot more of a contemporary natured structure, to what we thought would be a complement to the Baricelli next door. I think, after talking with not only the community meetings, but also Little Italy Design Review, they really wanted something that was more of a historical context modeling for this development. And we were happy to accommodate that. We've done a couple other projects in Little Italy where we took more of a historical approach to the design and have received a lot of compliments. So we were happy to work with the neighborhood, with the councilman's office to put forth what we think is a real benefit to the community.
Great, thank you. Did you want to make a statement?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Carl Brundes, good Landmark staff. This did go through a full design review process, which for us is conceptual review and then for final review. And they have made this has changed dramatically throughout the process, and it does fit contextually. One of the buildings dates to 1898, the other one slightly earlier, is one of the original buildings on the street. And this was issued a certificate of appropriateness by the Cleveland Landmarks Commission on June 8th, 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, anything else, gentlemen?
That's it for me.
I think, we always like, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Kaplan, did you have something else?
That's it for
No?
me. Thank you.
Okay. We always like to see when, we've gone through the process of the community meetings, the, CDC involvement, and, city planning, who I haven't called on yet, but Landmarks has spoken and given you approval, so everything bodes well for you. I think you did a nice job. I understand it's, several iterations in, but it looks like a nice job of blending with your neighbor next door, and the historical nature of the neighborhood. So that's nice to see, particularly since you're really going to be facing Random Road as your front facade. So city planning?
Madam Chair, Maurice Rowland, City Planning, of course, the City Planning Commission is supportive of this project and concurs with what was said by Mr. Rogers from the Landmarks Commission, also with support from Councilman Berkeley for this project.
Great, thank you. Would you like to take this one?
Sure.
I actually have a question.
Oh, all right. Ms. Roca has a question.
I do. So I think the project team spoke to the variances regarding the side yards in the rear yard and the need for that variance because of the unique narrowness of the lot. And I may have missed it, but did you speak to the variance regarding the air conditioning units? Where are they? And can you please talk about that?
Sure, no problem. If you zoom in, yep, thank you. Yeah, right in that corner there. Again, the challenge there was, needing to make sure that.
It's really hard to hear you. You might have to get a little closer.
There we go.
Now we can. Yeah.
Really, the main issue there is, as you can see, the entry drive that's located on the north side of the property, needing to make sure that remains clear for both fire access if needed, and also city service access. Our decision to locate those in that back corner there where you see those squares in plan was a couple. Number one, it really was the only other site area for us to put them on. We don't have a flat roof on this project.
Got it. Okay.
And in that context also of those existing commercial buildings there, to the right on that page is a solid concrete block building with no openings at all. Might be some sort of garage. And there's very, very few openings on the longer side of that commercial building where those would be located.
I see. Thank you very much yeah, you did mention the roof, so I appreciate you. It was a little hard to hear you earlier, but I got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Good.
I'm good.
All right. All right.
All right.
We're good.
Sounds good. So having heard testimony from the project architect, the councilman, city planning, knowing that there is landmarks approval, I move approval of calendar 23-129.
I second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Bates.
Yes.
Calendar number 23-129 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday, and then we will send you a letter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing this come to fruition.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Any other council people, Maurice?
No, I just see that Alicia is online. I don't know if you did that.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything else.
Arlicia's on.
You want to confirm that?
Yes, Ms. Wilson, could you let us know that you're present?
Yes, good morning. I am present.
Good morning. Okay.
Good morning.
So we are now at 4 members.
Yes, so to anyone else on the call, we have 4 members now. We are not sure when we will have 5 members. So we can only go forward with 4 members today. And think that's all I wanted. That's it.
Yeah, that's it for now.
Do you want to address the request for postponement in the chat? Somebody-
What case is it?
West 33rd Street.
Okay.
Yeah, South Bend.
All right, that was already postponed. Is that the case?
Yeah.
It's on the postponed portion, so we can go forward with the first item. Oh, that one's been postponed.
What are you saying you want to do?
Go to the next case.
Go to the next case. All right.
And just to announce again that calendar number 23-126 at 12808 Buckeye Road will not be heard this morning. It has been postponed to September 23rd. And if you receive the paper letter, we'll send out another letter to you closer to the time of the hearing.
Okay.
Next would be Highland Road.
So moving on to calendar number 23-127.
Our next case is calendar number 23-127. This is at 3707 Highland Road. Paul McCloskey, owner, proposes to erect a 20-foot by 24-foot, one-story frame detached utility shed in an A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. With that, I will hand it over to Ms. Roper for the oath.
All right, we will start with people on the call. Swearing in all who are present for this case, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply with I do, state your name and your address. Is there anyone on the call for this case? Is there anyone in the room for this case? Do you want to?
3707.
All right.
Right hand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Could you come up, get a little closer to her?
Yeah, the other right hand.
Could you
If
come
you'd
up
like
to
to,
the table, please?
yeah, if you'd like to step up here, we have a microphone on the table, so.
Can I give you our site plan here? That I went to?
Yeah, do we not have it?
I don't know, but I thought it
Okay.
looked pretty impressive.
We have
printed
it.
out on paper here
Yeah,
to just show you how long that
Nice
lot
and-
is.
I like a
Oh,
good site
wow.
plan.
This is very long.
So, yeah,
Very
you know,
long.
it's a really special
Oh.
neighborhood in that,
You have 40 feet of frontage.
yeah, 40, it's
and
standard that way.
4,000 feet in depth.
Exactly.
Incredible.
Can I, you know, so there's some special lots in this otherwise very standard neighborhood. Can I give you my little cheat sheet here too?
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry about that.
that's okay.
Madam Chair, we should probably have the legal standard and the history.
Yeah,
While we're doing that, I can read the history.
we'll, okay, we'll let them get comfortable. All
There's
right,
been no change in the zoning, Madam Chair, for this property. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1925, a permit was issued to erect a garage. 1938, a permit was issued to erect a dwelling. 1970, a permit was issued to erect a chain link fence on the property. And then, Madam Chair, in the more recent history, we do not see anything of note. Thank you.
okay, great. Legal standard, please?
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the accessory use requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. All right. Excuse me one second here. Okay, would you like to tell us what you'd like to do?
Well, we are going to build a modest shed garage for a couple of motorcycles and motor scooters, so it will function as a garage and utility, general extra space, you know. And if we could go back to that bird's eye view, just to get a sense of the neighborhood back.
The aerial view.
There, yes.
Oh, that's what.
So
you-
there's, no, if you could go back to that.
There we go.
There you go, aerial view. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, but I would like my slide. Yeah, so where the red dot is 3707. You can see Highland Road runs on a slight diagonal there. And you can see all those properties in the upper half are the long lots. They're all approximately 400 feet long. Everything else in the neighborhood is on a standard lot, 40 by 125. Very middle-class neighborhood, where the front and the back, you know, doesn't really matter. You got the house in the front, you got the garage or shed in the back. However, in the case of our property, our single property and our 11 neighbors who have these really long lots, well, that's a whole different ballgame, being required to put the shed or garage back in the woods. So what has happened over time, and you can see the reason the neighborhood looks the way it looks is we have a creek in the back there, Countryman Creek, and a valley, drops down about 15 to 20 feet deep. It's part of the Cuyahoga Valley system, incredibly, who knew? You know, this is like right off of 117th Street and Lorraine Avenue. And we have a kind of a Metro Park setting here, which they have left intact. And the reason those properties ended up staying long like that is because that valley curves around and it was really obviously no practical way to like, oh, let's make some more houses back in there. So, you know, almost by an act of nature, those 12 properties, including our one property, ended up with these exceedingly long lots. And what happened over time is every one of our neighbors who have an accessory building, there are a neighbor to the immediate north, you could see their garage. If you go to the next slide, please. A little bit difficult to see in a little different angle here. Again, the red dot is 3707. And we will place our shed garage really in line with where our neighbors is and right on down the row. So over time, none of those dozen lots were required to put their garage or shed, you know, 200 feet back, which would be a tremendous inconvenience, not only cost-wise with the 200-foot long driveway, but in the wintertime, et cetera, it's going to reduce the use and so forth. And if you look, and if we can move on to the next slide, please. The plans, you know, it's again, it's a standard 20 by 24 size of a two-car garage. Next slide, please. You can see the elevation there. It's just 8 feet high at the eave, under 12 feet at the peak. It can be trimmed out and painted to look like the house. And it's going to sit back there off to the side a little bit. It'll be barely visible from the street. So since no one else has been required on these dozen long lots to put something deep in the woods there, we're hoping that we would have the same, you know, concession from the city. You know, we could do the same.
I just looked up on Google Maps to see where you were, so I'm familiar with that neighborhood.
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
Yeah, and I actually have some folks that I know that live on the east side of the creek, just a tad bit north of you. So on your map here, it is a rather topographically challenging lot because of the slope. Where does it start sloping off?
Well, at about where you see the back end of where the proposed shed is, it begins to slope downward.
Okay.
So this shed already exists?
Yeah, that's a store-bought shed.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
It's a 12 by 10 by 12. It's
Just
not,
a-
not permitted, you know, not a.
Yeah,
not
just
a
one you pick up at
not-
like Home Depot. or
Exactly.
Lowe's and Put up. Yeah.
Garden shed.
Yeah, and this is
And
the
this is a
one.
garage.
This is a garage / utility shed.
Yeah.
Exactly the same size as our neighbors, by the way. And in the same position analogously, 5 feet off of their fence, 15 feet off of the other line there. You know, it's a very modest structure. And
So you actually don't have a driveway, do you?
Well,
Or there you are?
there we are, yeah.
Okay.
Does it go all the way back there?
Well, no, it only goes back to the down the side of the house.
Okay.
It's a gravel driveway.
I
Okay,
see.
all right.
So will you be paving, I apologize for going.
Go ahead.
Will you
Go
be
ahead.
paving around
Hmm?
will you be paving around the shed or to the shed?
Well, we will eventually have to do that, yes, to put in a more substantial driveway from the shed to the gravel driveway. But that does not exist at this moment.
So
But
right,
neither does the neighbors for that
right,
matter. It's-
right.
You know, it's a very undeveloped in some senses because of that park-like setting.
Yeah.
That we have.
Yeah. Do we have any communication from the council person?
No, I haven't received any communication.
Okay. All right, so the plan is, at this point, we have an existing gravel driveway that runs to the rear of the house. Does
To
it
the
go
rear
as
of the
far,
house, yeah.
does it go back to the deck?
No, it does not. Well, yeah, it goes up to the deck.
Goes up to the
the
deck.
end of the deck.
So right now, you're having to park your cars next to your house?
That's right. Well,
Okay.
in that gravel driveway.
Yeah, in the gravel driveway.
Yeah.
Okay. And, do we have plans again, Maurice, of the proposed building? Do we have a garage door opening?
Yeah, right there. This is going to be for 2 motorcycles and motor scooters.
Okay, all right. Okay. Okay. Any other questions, board?
So it's 20 feet by
24 feet,
24.
which is a standard 2-car garage.
Right,
size.
Yeah,
It's a
okay.
very standard size.
Just a little hard to see.
My question would be, how close to the house are you placing the shed / garage?
It's 40 feet back of the 3707.
Okay, thank you.
You can see the dimension right there.
Yeah,
40
Miss Wilson, can you see that on the plan?
40 feet.
So
Yes,
he's-
that is super helpful.
Yeah, he's 40 feet off.
Now, I
the-
don't have the neighbor's garage shown, but it is in exactly the same position as our proposed structure.
3703.
Yeah, exactly. They have a garage, right, detached garage behind their house. Exactly the same size and same position as ours.
So the plan is to pour a concrete pad, build the shed, and then extend the gravel driveway to the shed, or?
Yes,
Okay,
Yes.
and then pour a drive later?
eventually, yes.
Okay. All right, any other questions, board? No?
Just the
City planning?
Maurice Willis, City Planning, I 100% agree that it would be a hardship to place this all the way in the back. This is extremely long, there's no doubt about it. We did receive one letter of opposition from 3703. The neighbor to would be to the left of this photograph right here. And she states that please don't allow my neighbor to build this huge building right at our back door. They are calling it a shed, but when they are starting to build it, the walls were higher than a garage and it's very wide and long. It completely blocked us in and we spend all our time back here. We blocked our view of the beautiful. So I would say that it's not larger than a standard garage, as we just established it. They are not written up for a height variance, so it's the standard, height of a garage. My only question was, and you already answered it, because the site plan doesn't really, your site plan doesn't have the neighbor's garage on it, so it's hard to tell where it is, then I was only gonna ask.
Well,
that-
right, it's, let me see, right, yeah.
Let
I was
Mr.
only
Mullins
gonna
finish.
ask that your new shed / garage be in line with hers.
Yes.
Other than that, I have no issues.
Okay,
And you're telling us that it is. That's fine. It just looks like on the drawing.
Well, go back to that photograph.
Which one?
No, the one with the neighbor's house.
That one?
Yeah.
This
There's
one.
their
That-
garage right there. You see the detached garage with the two cars next to it.
Right, I said it's not on your site.
Oh,
yeah,
right. They
So
don't,
I was trying to scale it off based on your site.
yeah,
plan.
it's exactly the
And
same
scaling
size.
it based on the other neighbor's house, looks like it's actually in front of where the neighbor on 3703 is, because if you look at this site plan, the garage is in front of the back porch on 3711.
right.
So now if you go to the aerial view, that would put it,
Yeah, we're 40 feet back of the house.
that would put it right here, and it would seem like it's almost in front of this garage, so that's why I was asking the question. But if you're assuring us that it's in line with the neighbor's garage, then we 100% support this variance.
These are, based on my knowledge of the neighbors on the other side of the creek, very sloping
Oh, yeah.
and topographically challenging lots. So,
I just didn't want to create a wall
right, no, I
next
was,
to the neighbor's backyard so that all they're staring at is the sidewall of the garage.
Yeah,
So as long as it's lined up with the other garage, I have absolutely.
I
think it's
agree,
appropriate.
and I'm glad you raised that point, because that's what I was saying too, so that's good. Okay, if we have no further questions then, board, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I should
Yes.
also state that we received a letter of support from a neighbor. His name is Scott L. Bake at 3710 Highland Road. He stated that he owns and lives at 3710 Highland Road. He is okay with the appellant building a detached utility shed / garage on his property at the proposed 118 feet. His building, his property doesn't affect anyone. Says thank you and signs his.
Okay, great, so we've got a letter of support to offset the other one. And, I would say technically you're like a smidge smaller than a standard garage, so.
So
By
it's a very
about a
modest-
foot and a half, so you're good.
Modest structure, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion then, board.
I move to approve calendar number 23-127. Appellant has testified that he plans to put in a proposed garage / shed 40 feet back from the house, in line with the neighbor's shed and garage, neighbor being 3703 Highland. And I move to approve the variance.
I'll take a second, please.
Board Member Holzer, I second.
Good, thank you. Ms. Kukla, call the roll.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Fate.
Yes.
Calendar number 23-127 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and we'll send you a letter. Please feel free to contact our office on Wednesday of that week as well.
Great. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
you very much.
good.
Good luck.
Good luck to you.
Yeah.
Our former chairperson is like just around the corner.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're done. Thanks.
Have a good one.
Was there a note that this one was postponed in the chat?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes.
On this, perhaps we can just, I don't know if Mr. Shashner can weigh in, our attorney from the law department. If we should go forward with this or allow another postponement, as was stated at the beginning, if we have 3 members, the vote would have to be unanimous. But in this case, we risk a tie vote, which would also result in a denial of the case. So this has been postponed twice, I believe. And this would be their 3rd postponement. Legally, what are your thoughts on this? We don't have a date as of when we will have the fifth member.
I mean, that is up to the applicant. If they would like to postpone it, they can postpone it, I believe.
Oh, this is the tall fence, isn't it, that we sent them back to city planning? Yeah.
So Madam Chair, you generally do allow 3 postponements, so this would be the 3rd postponement. We just don't have a specific date yet as to when we'll have that 5th member.
We're into, how far into September are we for postponements now anyway? The 18th?
Yes, we have, I think we're booked to
Okay.
18.
Let's put them into early October.
Mid-October.
Yeah,
the end of one.
yeah. We'll do a long extension. Being optimistic that we'll have the open seat filled by then.
Okay, so middle of October is October 16th. The following week is 23rd.
Let's go to the 23rd. Everybody gonna be in town?
Yeah.
Them? Okay. Miss Wilson, are you gonna be in town on the 23rd of October?
Yes, I'll be around.
Okay.
Okay, so calendar number 22, as long as there's no, it sounds like there's no objections from the board members.
Yeah.
Calendar number 22-138 is postponed. If you received a paper copy of the letter notifying you of the hearing in your mailbox, we will send it again out closer to the date of the hearing. October 23rd.
23rd. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Moving on.
Our next case is calendar number 23-106. This is at 5408 Ithaca Court. Sanctus Capital LLC proposes to split a lot into 2 individual parcels with existing 2-story frame single-family residence with 1 concrete parking space in a B1 2-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. This case was postponed from July 10th, 2023. There's also a note that Cleveland Planning, or City Planning, I can't tell, oh my gosh. City Planning approval is required before issuance of a building permit.
It was a rainy Monday, so. Yeah.
My
yeah.
brain.
It's hard to start off like that. It's bucketing out there.
Yeah, it was horrible driving it, so.
Yeah, I'm still soaked.
Yeah.
And with that, I'll hand it over to Ms. Roper.
Okay.
Hello, good morning. Once the slide comes up. All right, I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand. Reply, I do. State your name and spell it for the court reporter, please, and your address.
I do.
Chad Jones. Cody Miller.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not know somebody was on the call. Thank you. And can you state your address?
The property address or the company address?
Whichever address applies to you.
Okay. Let's just 5408 Ithaca Court, Cleveland, Ohio, 44102, I believe. Can't remember.
Okay. Anyone else on the call?
No, just me.
Okay, and we'll go with the gentleman in front of us then.
Chad Jones, 1966 West 54th Street.
Okay.
Pete McCain, 5500 Ithaca Court.
And they have for
Madam Chair, this is one project, these 2 cases. I'm not sure if that was read. I was writing.
Oh, it was not.
Yeah, these 2 are.
Oh, it is. Okay. We'll, we will bundle these then.
All right.
And we'll read the second one in. Thanks for pointing that out.
No problem. Additional case, calendar number 23-107 at 1968 West 54th Street. Again, Sanctus Capital LLC proposes to erect a two-story frame, single-family residence with attached garage in a B1 family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 5. And again, this was postponed from July 10th to allow time for the City Planning Commission to review the lot split.
Okay, great.
Ready for the history notice?
I am, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, we found for the address of on West 54th Street, that would be 1968 West 54th Street, we found that a permit was issued in 1894 for alterations to a shop on site. For the address of Ithaca Court, we found that in 1916, permits were issued for a porch addition and alterations to the basement. In 1961, a permit was issued to establish use as 3 dwelling units for that Ithaca address. In 1979, a permit was issued to demolish a single-family property on site. 1981, a permit was issued to erect chain link fence.
When was the demo, Liz?
1979.
Okay.
And then in the more recent history, we found that in 1997, a permit was issued to demolish a garage at the Ithaca address. There is a permit that was issued for the Ithaca address as well to board up 2 standardized doors on the property. And then again in 2022, a permit was issued to board 1 standardized window on the site. I believe that's all that I have that's relevant. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So West 54th goes back to 1894.
Cool.
That's amazing.
As old as my house.
Is it? Are there cisterns
Yeah,
in both of them?
I don't know about that inside that house, but I live next door in my house.
Yeah. Typical. I did a house in Ohio City and it had a cistern. It was really interesting. And no plumbing for the kitchen. It just went out into the backyard.
Yeah, it's, the addition, the oddity is that, you know, like, there must have been a outhouse at some point.
Oh,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
So I meant, you know, we have no problem growing things.
Yeah. Yeah, well fertilized, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll get back on track now. History, oh, you did the history, I'm sorry. I'm just so interested in these old houses. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the minimum lot size, maximum gross floor area, minimum lot width, and parking requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or building in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Note the City Planning Commission must approve this prior to issuance of a building permit.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, who's going to be your spokesperson?
Well, we are here to, in opposition of the project, so we should probably let, if he wants to go.
Oh, yeah. All right.
I am here.
Okay, that means, Mr. Miller, you are the spokesperson.
Yes, I am. Okay, so basically, just to sum up what's going on here is we purchased the property with the intent to renovate the existing cottage that is 5408 Ithaca, and then obviously construct a new residence at the corner of 54th and Ithaca. City Planning has reviewed this and approved, so we've been through that already. Yeah, so obviously the reason we're here is when we split the lot, it will, well, you obviously are aware of the variances, but the cottage, both the cottage and the single family home to be constructed will not meet minimum lot requirements for Cleveland's zoning code. Next slide, please. So this is just a site plan showing, you know, where the lot split is going to occur. We're going to have a parking pad for the cottage off of Ithaca Court, and the driveway for the new construction single family home will also come off of Ithaca Court. Next slide. This is just.
Can you advance, Liz? Or did I go too far?
Yeah, I think you went too far.
Yeah, you there?
So this is the floor plan.
1 second,
Okay.
Mr. Miller. Liz, can you go back to that side? There we go. Not usually.
Thank you.
And
That is
while you're looking at that, the reason why we're here to talk against it, take a look at that car and imagine trying to get that car onto Ithaca Court. How do you back it up?
On both of those houses, that's what.
On both of the houses, yeah,
Okay, we'll get to that, gentlemen.
okay.
Okay, that is.
Okay. All right, Mr. Miller, right off the top here, the what are the dimensions from the attached garage to the street? What's the distance?
It is 10 foot,
Okay.
and that is part of the one of the variances.
All right, so we have parking next to the cottage.
What is the width, you know, the width of that street?
It's about 12 to 14 foot wide.
It's pretty narrow, and there's a fence that runs along.
Okay.
It's extremely narrow.
Yeah.
It is, it's one of the more narrow
It's really,
alleys. in
yeah, it's
the
really
city.
more of an alley.
It isn't.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I assume that's why you're here. Mr.
Is there anything else
Davenport.
Mr. Miller needs to say?
Oh, general?
Yeah. Not, you don't have to make a statement yet. I'm just,
Yeah.
we're just unpacking this and seeing a lot of issues. Okay. All right, Mr. Miller, we're gonna let you resume walking us through your plans, okay?
Okay. All right, so next slide, the next two slides are actually just the floor plans for the remodeled cottage. So first floor, we're essentially keeping the exact same footprint, rebuilding the porch that is in poor shape right now, and then, you know, just modifying the floor plan for the drawing shown. So that's first floor, and the next one is second floor. It'll be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home. Again, this one's going to remain historically accurate. You know, we're just going to kind of fix up what's there. You know, keep the same layout, everything. We do have one minor change. We're going to add a French door, kind of French balcony facing Ithaca Court. So that would be the Ithaca Court elevation. That'd be the south elevation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next slide.
Oh, I've got on this.
Oh yeah, sorry, I guess because it's two different. So
Yeah.
technically,
You know what, I don't have it. Let me check something.
Okay. One moment.
okay, no problem.
you go ahead with.
Okay. All right. Do you want to go ahead? Do you want to dissect this anymore, or do you want to get the overview of the?
Well, they're
second
one
house?
project together, so I'd like to know the whole
Okay, all right.
thing.
So go ahead and tell us about the new construction then.
Yes, so the new construction is a single-family home, approximately 2,200 square feet. It's 2.5-story wood frame house on slab with an attached garage, as you could tell from with entrance off of Ithaca Court. Essentially, it's going to have a front porch, and we did our best to kind of keep with the architecture of the neighborhood. So, no flat roofs minus a small patio off of the back of the house over top the garage. And as you can see, just from the layout, the reason for the variances, we're not proposing much of a yard. It's a small plot of land already, and we felt having a garage attached was probably more important anyway than a yard for this particular neighborhood, especially with parkland and just being in an urban setting. So if you want to move on to the next, I guess that's all I have for this slide.
We're bringing up the other plans right now, so just a moment.
I'd much rather present them together anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So this shows the first floor plan, as well as the garage. Again, fairly self-explanatory. I think it's pretty standard layout for what you kind of see in the area. This provides some rough dimensions of the front porch, the width of the house, everything that you would need for, I guess, a site plan. Next slide, please. This would be the second floor. Again, showing the small little balcony over the garage. So that's really the only flat roof we have on this particular project. Everything else is your standard gable 2.5-story frame house. This would be the front. So again, the front's going to utilize almost a board and batten siding, trying to keep relatively almost a modern take on the existing architecture of the neighborhood. So this would be the east elevation facing West 54th. This is the Ithaca Court elevation. Again, just a combination of lap siding and vertical. And next slide. I believe that might be all I have.
That's all you have.
Okay. Yes. And then obviously I had some existing condition photos, but I think everyone's a little familiar with it already.
All right, Mr. Miller, can you tell me what your finishing materials are? I see you're using casement windows. Is your siding hardy board, or what are you using?
The lap siding is going to be vinyl, but the vertical is going to be hardy.
Okay, so your board and batten is going to be hardy.
Yes.
Vinyl on your vertical. What's your garage door going to be?
To be honest, I haven't decided that yet, but I could be flexible. I mean, I like a nice garage door, so it's probably going to be a little bit different. It just won't be a standard steel garage door. But we honestly haven't determined that yet.
Yeah. Okay. And 3-tab asphalt shingles then, right, for roofing?
We actually may go for, so yes, it's shown with 3-tab. I think we may go with metal siding or metal roofing on the porch. But yes, the majority of the house is going to be 3-tab shingle.
Okay.
And
I asked you that because it just goes to fire retardant, so.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I don't
All right,
recall exactly, but we
I'm
did
sorry.
receive. I'm sorry, I don't recall exactly when. I think it was in April, but we did receive HDRS approval. So they did review it and they were okay with it as well.
Okay. Have we had any communication from the council person?
No, I don't.
I believe.
Or nothing from the CDC?
I don't see anything. Did the appellant state that he did?
Did you have any, did you have support from the
Yes.
CDC or the council person?
Yes, I have support from the council person, and I have verbal support from the CDC, but not, I actually have a written email support from council. I did not receive a written approval from the CDC, but I do have a verbal support, so I could obtain that.
Okay,
But Councilwoman Spencer did give her approval.
and she emailed you approval?
Yes.
All right, but we don't have a copy of that.
No, that was not my apologies.
Okay. Those would probably be conditional if we move to, in the motion. Okay, all right. Anything else, Mr. Miller?
No, that's, I guess the only thing I'd like to add is that, you know, there was a house here at one point, so I know it is a smaller lot, but, you know, I just, we're going back with just a single family house. We didn't want to do anything too crazy. So I didn't realize when the house was demolished. I thought it was actually much later than that, but that's all I'd like to add.
Okay, great. All right, we'll hear from you two gentlemen. Who
Sure,
wants to
thank
go
you.
first?
I'll take it. Thank you very much. To be clear, all of the neighbors are very much in support of rehabbing and fixing up the Ithaca Court, 5408 Ithaca Court.
The cottage.
The cottage. That has been abandoned and a
Yeah.
large nuisance
Yeah,
for many years.
pretty derelict.
So everybody is great with that. I think the opposition comes from the shoehorning of a really big house into a really small lot onto a really narrow alleyway. And we are at the entrance, the heart of what's called Eco Village, which is part of the Detroit Shoreway Gordon Square neighborhood. And it's the entrance to the community garden. And then actually Holden Arboretum had just bought the abandoned community garden behind that. And they're going to start doing events and things
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
everything
right.
there, which is really great.
Yeah.
So while density is part of the ethos of Eco Village, single family housing isn't necessarily density. And the size of this house, if you look at the variances you're asking for, you know, instead of 40 feet, 30 feet, attached garage instead of 18 feet, proposing 5 feet off of the site. And then it can't be less than or greater than 50%. So they're looking at what would have been 1,900 compared to 2,300. And if you look, there are a lot of double and triple houses and cottages on this, but the difference is the lot size. So a lot of the street has what's highlighted in blue there, which are those lot sizes. The yellow lot is their lot, and it is a much smaller lot size in that. And so I think that our concern as neighbors really comes from that kind of shoehorning. You mentioned not seeing a wall on one of those houses and really cramming this in. There's not a yard. It just, that to us speaks a little bit against the ethos of the Eco Village. And then Ithaca Court is a really well-traveled pedestrian walkway. There's a school, St. Stephen's down the street, the community garden, and there really are a ton of neighbors that walk, animals, kids play, because it's not a highly trafficked in cars. There's a lot of bike riding. Kids kind of use that as a just place to ride their bikes. And one of the biggest concerns is that driveway setback and backing in and out of that space.
And you can, you can see by their pictures. I measured my car.
I'm
sorry.
Before you speak, gentlemen, again, we have a court reporter.
Oh.
So just state your name before you
yes.
make a statement, so
Okay.
she knows who's talking.
All right, Pete McCain.
Thank you.
I live next door on two sides, by the way. I'm at 5500 Ithaca Court, and I'm at 1974 West 54th. And so any car backing out of those garage and pads would be essentially hitting my fence every single time. It is like every single time. You can see, so the standard car, my car is a Honda Accord made in Maryville, Ohio. It's 16.5 feet wide. As we mentioned, the size of the alley is 12 to 14 inches, 12 to 14 feet wide. So backing out, almost the only way to do it would be to kind of do something that I assume people don't do, which is come out at an angle, right? And just like go in and out like that. But as he sees it, unless somebody has like a smart car or something like that, one of those little tiny cars or a motorcycle, that is an impassable spot for the garage. It's just, it won't work at all, especially the one next to the cottage.
So Chad Jones again. I think a couple of the things, we have spoken with Jenny Spencer too. I think when we voiced our concerns, she did engage us pretty good. We've been talking with planning and Mr. Davenport over there as well. And I understand that a lot of times these things look really great on paper. But I think practically this is a different thing. And if you do see that lot in person, it is a very small lot. And it did have a house there. It had a house that was a fraction of the size of the proposed building. One other thing I'll add, and this is by no means an attack on Mr. Miller at all. They haven't been the best neighbors as of yet. So I don't know how many times the city has had to mow the grass. I've had to mow it just to try to keep a lot of there's a picture there. I mean, it's hard to see how tall the grass is there, but it's been pretty unmaintained since they've taken over, which is just kind of another little.
And again, Pete McCain, we support getting that fixed somehow. We want either that little cottage fixed up or knock everything down and start new. But it would actually harm my property totally.
So you're across the street?
Right,
I'm
you
both-
have a greenhouse and a beige house, right?
Correct. He's got the beige
I've
house.
got the beige. I'm next door, and then Pete is across Ithaca Court. So
Greenhouse.
He is right behind
the green. I'm in the greenhouse
right
and then
there.
I'm also the blue house.
What are you looking for?
Flip it around so they can see me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's
So his French doors, for example,
that's Pete's house, and his other one is right behind.
open up to my garage door.
And I think that would be one of those things too. I was not aware of the French doors. I don't know a patio hanging off there, how far that into the alley that may.
Oh, and also, he's taken that spot. Actually, the French doors is probably a better, but all they see is my garage.
So I do have 2 letters of opposition here too, written by some neighbors. And then you can see I did do a little list I have spoken with many of the neighbors. I do have, excuse me, a sheet that just people wrote down that did oppose it, but all for these same reasons. Was just.
And Mr. McCain, you have a garage on Ithaca Court.
Right.
Yes.
And
I have an 18-foot pad in front of it.
Before you get to the apron.
Right. And it's difficult for us.
And we have no sidewalks, right?
no,
On either side.
no, just.
Or curbing.
No,
No
no,
curbing,
no
no
curbing,
anything.
no nothing. It's a very weird lot.
I think that just going back 100 years, St. Stephen's church up the road took a giant section, and so that's why some of those lots that are next to us have 3 houses deep on them. This is just that last 30 feet, you know,
Mhm.
it's that before, so it is a weird lot.
And the community garden is behind the cottage?
Correct.
Yes. it's
Directly behind.
Behind the cottage on the south side, if you can.
I see it.
It's
Here
a
it
couple
is.
of
There
different
we go.
directions.
There's two big green spaces there. One,
You're right.
one of those that sits on 57th is the Holden Arboretum property. And then the community garden is next to that.
Right next to a blue house, like a little blue cottage.
Right. And that Pete McCain, that blue house is mine.
Okay,
Got it.
okay.
So yeah, in this picture, you can see
Oh, this is the Holden Arboretum.
the plots of the community garden there, those little boxes on both sides of it.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Mr. Davenport, would you like to make a statement at this point?
Yes, so Adam Davenport, City Planning. So we're happy also that the cottage is getting renovated. So it's in the neighborhood for about 10 years now. That's been a big and on your life remember as well. Pete Chef and obviously remember 4 years of that. We're also happy that a house is being built on the former lot where there was a house before. I think from this aerial you can see that there's a Pete's house has a double wide apron that a car pulls out on. There's a garage that accesses the alleyway to the south of his with a single apron, but also, you know, has some car traffic going on. I wouldn't say that it's probably a pleasant experience to back in and out of the driveways on a particular board. It is a narrow alleyway, but we'd much rather the cars load off of the alleyway than 54. They'd be coming back for different variances if you park a car off the street with this configuration house plan. Obviously, you know, Cody could design a house that didn't have a garage, but then he'd be coming for a variance request for a parking variance as well. So in terms of like actual planning thought, I think it's a smart site plan. It makes a lot of sense for a new house. The depth of both the parking pad and the garage itself, I think allows some turn navigation, just like the other driveway scenarios on here. If it was too tight, traffic engineering or building housing would flag that. They haven't, they won't. We see new houses being built where parking is loaded off the alleyways. This neighborhood most commonly west of 65th over on like Colgate Court and other kind of alleyways that are in the neighborhood but a little northwest of here. Or further east in the Ohio City area. So it's not without, I don't really like to throw around the word precedent, but it's not without other houses being built in the same scenario as well. Understand how tight it is overall, but I think like the house size itself is also very similar in scale to other houses around there. And although it's on a smaller lot itself, I think without the attached garage it would be quite similar in size to the rest of the house. So we feel like it's a smart site plan. You know, we're happy that a new house is being built on that.
So question to you, do you know the actual width of Ithaca Court?
I know.
Do we have that? We don't have that data.
I will mention that Colgate Court that he mentioned is about double the width.
Okay. Can you get 2 cars passing on Ithaca Court? No. So you have to, it's one.
And it's a one-way street.
It is a
One-way
one-way,
street.
but you certainly cannot fit 2 cars.
One way towards west
57th.
57.
So that way,
Other way.
that way.
So to
Heading
get
west,
out, they would have to angle and
back
go
towards 54th.
back towards 54th.
Again,
and
try and imagine that car trying to back up. It's just, it can't be done as it's drawn.
So I have a question for Mr. Davenport. So engineering, traffic engineering looked at this and they don't see an issue with pulling in and out?
Yeah, so there's minimum distances that they require for driveway widths and on alleyways, the actual proximity of the garage nearest to the alley. So you wouldn't want a garage on an alleyway any closer than 3 feet because of the turning radius of vehicles. And so that proximity, right? We want it set back, in this case, like it is, like past, I think the other minimum is 7.5 or 8 feet, so that a car doesn't have to hang in the alleyway.
Right.
And somebody can park it and block traffic. So this meets both the minimum and maximum thresholds for that B&H puts on, stuff like that.
So what's the setback of the garage off the street?
I think Cody said it's 10 feet.
10 feet. So we've got 10 feet and then we've got 12 feet maybe of the court.
That's 10 feet.
I think the proposal was for 5.
Yeah, the proposal's for 5.
So just looking at the variance here, proposing,
I think that's one of our concerns too, is that if it does become difficult to pull into the garage, that somebody will just park halfway in and be hanging out.
Right. Well, that's why we're looking at these dimensions.
so the variance is for, they need 18 feet from the side street line. They are proposing 5 feet.
Right.
That's my apologies. I thought 10 feet was somewhere. That was in my head. I apologize.
The Ithaca, I think that's the Ithaca.
I believe, yes.
10 feet is
10 feet. Okay.
Oh, the cottage court.
the cottage court. So
That garage is proposed 5 feet off of it.
So again, a standard car, about 16.5 feet. And that's a fair representation of the car, their car there. You can see, how would you get, especially 2 cars, out of that garage without hitting the line, which is my fence?
I know, it would really be helpful if there were dimensions.
Yeah.
There are no dimensions on any of the drawings.
None.
And that's probably pretty accurate as far as the car goes. Look at trying to put that car into that garage.
Okay, with no dimensions, we have no garage.
And if the garage was removed, they would need a parking variance.
Right.
Is what I,
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
think.
because there's nowhere to park.
Yeah, so then you'd end up with a different variance on 54, for the 54th new address. I mean, I think the important thing is the aerial image. This works already on a court because of the width of the aprons. It's not necessarily the depth that's super important for
Right.
managing traffic off street here. It's the width of the aprons.
So we're 12 on the single and we're 18 on the double for the aprons?
I'm not sure. I haven't memorized that, but.
Madam Chair, we could postpone the case.
Yeah, that's,
You needed more information?
I think we need-
yeah, I think that's where we're
yeah,
at.
this is really important
Absolutely.
and it-
Mr. Miller, here's the situation, okay? I look at blueprints all the time. That's what I do. And you don't have dimensions on here. And there are certain parameters that are necessary for apron widths and turning radiuses. And I'm not comfortable not seeing dimensions on these drawings, as are the other board members. So what we're gonna ask you to do, and we have testimony from city planning, but we need to have a comfort level. And so what I'm gonna ask you to do, we're gonna postpone this. I want you to dimension your drawings.
Okay.
And we need
have that.
apron widths, we need
The width of the street.
we need the width of the street, we need your apron widths, which have to meet standard. And we need the distance off the street. Not the center of the street, but from what is the edge of the street.
Okay. I actually do, so that won't be an issue. I do actually have that.
Okay,
So I'll have to present that at the next
yeah.
meeting, but this drawing that
I see who your architects are. I know these guys, they can drop those in a heartbeat if you don't have those drawings. And then you'll get those to us so we can have them put on screen.
Okay.
Okay? Because we don't have enough information here. And, you know, this is what I do and I'm not comfortable. So I know my board members aren't comfortable.
Okay.
They've already stated that. So we're going to postpone you. I want you to come back with full dimensions on everything. Clear?
Okay.
All
Yep.
right. Okay. Date?
Madam Chair, we can squeeze them on August 28th, or August 21st is very full, so.
Yeah. What's your comfort level?
And,
When are you going to be back?
so I'm gone the 21st. And I'm gone September 18th. So
Okay.
August 21st and the 18th are the two that I.
Okay. So the 28th, you're good?
October 28th?
August 28th.
August.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there.
Okay. Ms. Wilson, August 28th work for you? I want to make sure we have 4 members.
Yes, that does work for me. Thank you.
Excellent. Good for you? Yep. Okay. August 28th.
Okay.
Excuse me, that's my alarm.
Calendar
Okay.
numbers 23-106 and 23-107 are postponed to August 28th. If you receive the paper copy, we'll send another copy out in the near future. And that's it. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, we'll move forward at that point. Just, we need more information, as I
Okay.
specified, Mr. Miller.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I believe that concludes our business. I don't have an old business sheet.
Yeah, I'll pass them down.
It's like in school. Yes. Take one, pass it on. There you go. Okay. Did you get my email about 23-122?
We did. We can hold ratification if the board members would like to review the notes and possibly the video.
Yeah, let's go. We'll ratify everything else
Yeah.
and then we can just discuss that quickly. See, so we're gonna do number 1, number 3, number 4, and number 5 without objection, board?
Without objection.
Without objection.
Okay.
And then, Madam Chair, we have one case that is scheduled for this coming Monday. Excuse me. That's BZA calendar number 23-131. The applicant informed us that they would be traveling at that time and need a postponement.
Okay.
So
They're gonna have to go, what do we have?
really, September 25th.
Yeah, they're gonna have to go into September. Because we want to make sure we have everybody here.
To have the 4 members.
Yeah. Okay,
I mean,
so,
we'll still hold hearings on the 18th. On the 11th and the 18th.
yeah,
Even though we won't have 4 members, so. It is just a wooden deck on the 2nd floor. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a single family
It's a house.
residence on on a garage, so it is a residence. Okay, we'll keep it September 25th, if you're comfortable with that.
yeah. Okay, and then, what's this Rocky River Drive?
The gas station appealed.
They have appealed. Calendar number 23-045.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
4075 Rocky River.
Okay. Not surprising.
So, there we have.
Okay.
Business today.
All right. Should we discuss 23-122 now?
Sure.
All right. I've just been thinking about this before we ratify, and I want to make sure everyone's comfortable with the hours that we've set. Very oftentimes with businesses of this type, we make conditions as to what their hours are, shorten them, then, you know, rather than necessarily what the business owner might want, we make them earlier. And this happens a lot in these sorts of situations. And also that they have security on site during open hours. So I just want to make sure that everyone's comfortable with the conditions that we placed on it.
I'm going to rule the conditions as is. It's a bar. I don't want to be more onerous than the law requires. The law allows bars to be open to a certain time. And I don't know that, I don't feel comfortable imposing a stricter requirement on a business owner than the law requires.
Okay,
in my
I just
opinion.
want to make sure everyone's
Yeah.
comfortable. Are you comfortable with that? Okay, all right. Then we can go with ratification of 23-122.
I'd also like to state for the record too, if it becomes a problem, that's an issue for the police
Correct,
to
right.
deal with, an enforcement issue, and I would say outside the purview of the Board of Zoning Appeals, in my opinion.
Right. Or the council person.
Or the council.
Yes, okay. All right, so on calendar, which is number 2, calendar number 23-122, will approve without objection, board?
Without objection.
Okay, so that's good to go, Liz.
All right.
And Ms. Wilson, I don't know if she had any
Oh, I'm
commentary.
Well, she wasn't here for that.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, that's my understanding too. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, Brett, glad to have you on screen with us today. All right, anything else?
That's it.
That's it? Okay.
That's it.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're done for today.